Well, for introduction, TCCA will examine populism as a political phenomenon at the global level through the comparative study of the three current leaders, that is, Donald Trump in the United States, Andrés Manuel López Obrador in Mexico, and Narendra Modi in India. The main objective of TCCA is to analyze how populism manifests itself in different national contexts and how it impacts both internally, from the way of institutionally, economically, and socially. From obviously a geopolitical perspective. To this end, the context in which these leaders emerge, the strategies and discourses they use to consolidate themselves as populist figures, the effects they have on the political and social life of their countries, as well as the consequences of their governments at the international level.
Objectives. In general, the main objective of this paper is to analyze how populism manifests themselves in different national contexts and how it impacts both internally, institutionally, economically, and socially, and externally from a geopolitical perspective. To this end, the contexts in which these leaders emerge, the strategies and discourses that they use to consolidate themselves as populist figures. In specifics, we have what is populism, types of populism, and what is geopolitics. Populism. In general terms, populism is a political strategy that divides society into broad groups, the pure people, and the corrupt elite. The populist leader presents themselves as the authentic voice of the people, often showing disdain for traditional democratic institutions such as political parties, the press, and the judiciary. This simplification of the political landscape is effective in times of economic crisis, corruption scandals, or widespread mistrust in government. However, populism also poses serious risks. By concentrating power in charismatic figure, it can weaken institutionally checks and balances. Geopolitics. Geopolitics is a field that examines the impact of geographic elements on political power, international dynamics, and state strategies. Originally, it is concentrated on territorial dominance and the strategic benefits provided by physical geography. Over time, it evolved to include additional dimensions such as economic, technological, energy related, and cultural factors.
Well, we're gonna continue with Donald Trump. Yeah. We already know that Donald Trump has a deeply influence recent in American history. And Trump was, well, is a businessman, television personality, and a politician. We already know that Donald Trump wanna go for the candidacy for president because we know for his interviews some comments about the current state of the country that you had to change policies and turn their speeches into a political issue. So everyone will already expect that he wanted to enter the world of politics with the speech of "Make America Great Again." The populism of Donald Trump with the nationalist and xenophobic discourse with the, well, using a rhetoric that marginalizes certain groups. We know what groups, the immigrants and minorities. And with the anti-elitism political outsider, he presents himself as outsider who changed the political establishments, promising to drain the swamp of Washington and return power to the forgotten people. And the simplification of complex problems was the well. He said that such as the construction of a border wall to solve illegal immigrations, appealing to emotions rather than rational analysis, and with the internal impacts personalization of power because he governed as it were his family business, accustomed by his father companies to surround himself with loyal people instead of expert professionals. The protectionism imposed tariff on foreign products, especially from China, and its partners generating a trade war that affect USA producers than the global economy, and the extreme polarization with his speech constantly divided the country between patriots and enemies of the people. This depends the gap between conservatives and liberals. Um, we can already add the international consequence as Trump promoted the America First, so he left from the Paris Agreement on the climatic change, the nuclear agreement with Iran, and he threatened to leave OTAN, the trade wars with China that I already had. Tell you, and with the relations with authoritarian powers like Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong Un, with instead of confronting them, Trump sought personal agreements that did not translate into a structural change, which generate criticisms about his lack of democratic firmness. So for Donald Trump is all, and we're gonna continue with Andrés Manuel López Obrador from Mexico.
Okay, so now talking about a different leader, I'm gonna explain about the rise of Andrés Manuel López Obrador. It all started after his arrival in 2018, a long path of corruption and violence in the past governments. Coming with most people tired of it, Andrés Manuel López Obrador is and was the creator and representative of Morena. He successfully won the presidency of Mexico after all that. So now his leadership has been qualified as populist because of many factors like his polarizing speech, weakening of autonomous bodies, and a direct communication through mañaneras. Internally, he has centralized the government's power, militarizing civil functions and promoting social programs of direct transfers, which has contributed to reduce the extreme poverty, yet still not ending or dealing with the violence and not improving the health system because it has a really, really low level of improvement in it. Economically, he kept a constant level of it, but with a really low improvement, with a politic focus on strengthening Pemex and CFE, which has provoked tensions with the Temec partners and investors. And now for the international ambit, he has adopted a nationalist and cautious stance, prioritizing the relationship with the USA by migration agreements, even though it has been strongly criticized against global issues and human rights. His mandate has deeply transformed the Mexican politics, generating popular support and strong international controversies. And now, as a really short conclusion, in the end, AMLO's government really changed the way politics works in Mexico. He came in with big promises to fight corruption and help the poor. And a lot of people still support him for that. But at the same time, his way of concentrating power, fighting with institutions, and pushing old school energy policies has raised a lot of eyebrows. Some see him as a Truman of people, while others worry about how much control he's taken. Either way, his time in office has definitely left a strong mark in the country, and I honestly think that he's like really really smart, but I'm in strong disagree with him and with all his kind of governments because yeah, he's a populist. And that's it for for my part. And thanks for watching my video.
Rise to the power of Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi was born on September 17, 1950, in Bhatnagar, Gujarat. Into a humble family, as a young boy he helped his father sell tea and later earned a degree in political science. He began his political career with the Rastriya Swayamsevak Sangh (RSS), an Hindu nationalist organization, and eventually joined to Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP). In 2001, he became Chief Minister of Gujarat and position he held until 2014. In 2014, Modi led the BJP to historic national victory and became Minister of India, a role he continues to hold. He is known for strong leadership, economic reform, and nationalist approach, but as also faced criticism for democratic backsliding and rising social tension during his term. His administration is considered complicit in the Gujarat riots of 2002. Just over people were killed and according to official records, three-quarters were Muslims. His policies as Prime Minister will attribute to him the promotion of economic growth. They were praising the administration of Modi, was criticized for not improving significantly to rates of health, poverty and education of the state. Okay, democracy in India. After independence under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, India adopted a constitution in 1914 that enshrined democratic, secular and republican principles. During the first decade, the Indian National Congress dominated politics, establishing an elitistic concession system home over. From the 1970s onwards, with the emergence of religion and caste movement, Indian democracy began to diversify along wide participation of diverse social groups. Modi has perfected the use of political discourse as a tool for mobilization and consolidation power, employing populist rhetoric that direction appeals to the economic, emotional, and values of Hindu people. His discursive style has been instrumental in building a national identity centered on Hindu nationalism, while polarizing public opinion and challenging traditional democratic norms. In present and discourse has a come people's struggle against the elites, whose pressures such as Chihuahua, tea seller. That was his occupation in childhood with whose return his imaging of people of that.
And for final conclusion, the populist leadership of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, Donald Trump, and Narendra Modi reveals how diverse ideological backgrounds can produce similar patterns of governance. Despite their difference, each has concentrated power by sidelining traditional institutions, appealing directly to the masses, and using media to shape public opinion. Their cases demonstrate that populism whether left wing or right wing, can erode democratic norms and reshape political systems by blurring the line between the leader and the state. How through their styles and goals differ, all three have strain of weakened democratic institution by promoting personal loyalty over institutionally checks and balances, and have skillfully used media, especially social media, to put a direct connection with their political base.